Hello and welcome to episode 460 of the God is a Geek podcast. As I've said a few times, it's not really 460, it's much more, but that's the best I can do in terms of counting how many actual episodes we've done. My name's Adam Cook, I'm your host as always, and I'm joined pretty much as always by Chris Hyde.
I wondered how long you were going to manage to carry that then.
Not long, mate. I'm getting
Hello,
on a
mate.
bit.
You're okay?
No, not now.
I think you did very well.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you. That's really fine. We're not alone, Chris.
No, we're not.
No.
We are not alone.
We're not alone. We are also joined by Adam Carroll. Hello, Adam. You all right?
Oh, I was looking forward to a big one.
Mate,
Actually,
hello.
I think we've used a big one for the podcast title, so I'm going to put it up there as a temporary.
Looking forward to a big one.
That's fine.
Pucker that. No, not
stick
pucker.
a pin in the big one.
Yeah, stick a pin in it. There we go. There we go. How is everyone? All right?
Yes. Good.
Stick a pin.
Still hot.
In it just.
It is clammy.
Clammy might be a better podcast title for this week.
Well, feel free to use that one as well.
I went total tangent. I mean, we could start this podcast talking about how I got stung twice by the same wasp. But that's perhaps we'll save that for the Patreons. That's gold. I walked past a house today on just my, I was walking the dog and I walked past a house and, you see like people, I don't know, have either of you two, don't say it, but have either of you got a house name? Like, does your house have a name? I mean, Balmoral, of course, with you, Chris. It's
But they named the county after my house.
Yes, but have you got? You know what I mean, though. Like people sometimes name their.
I know
house.
what you mean. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this house was just simply called the Cooch, and I was a little bit taken aback by that, if I'm honest with you, because obviously that means yeah.
Well,
so,
you just need to add a little line. You just need to go and graffiti that ever so slightly.
I don't know that it needed an awful lot of graffiti. Just
it made me chuckle without it.
Tales of Arise, chaps. There's no segue from the Cooch to Tales of Arise.
No, I probably wouldn't.
So I'm not even going to try. Chris reviewed it. Adam's been playing it. I've been playing it. I guess the simplest of questions to start with is to say that Christopher Hyde gave it a 10 out of 10, the maximum of the scores available to us. I guess the simplest question is to say to Adam Carroll, what is he right or wrong? Do we agree with that score?
I text Chris to say I completely agree.
Wow.
I completely agree with his 10. I think, personally, Arise is the best of the entire series. No, that's not to discredit, the ones we know and love, but it's just, the gameplay is just phenomenal. It is just phenomenal. And I think, whatever, the story, I'm into the story. I am. It has some cliche moments. It does all those bits and bobs.
Yeah.
But there's something about the atmosphere in Arise, I think, the way these games, they're kind of always been that little bit linear, right?
Yeah.
And when you see Arise and when you're in this world, it looks huge. And, if you open the map looks huge, but it's totally not. It's really you are restricted in certain areas. It does do the whole thing of you might go up a little cliff and there's a fence, but you can't jump over the fence. You have to go all the way around. It does those things. Yeah. So they are. I was just going to say, they are blocking off small
before
bits.
We get too deep into it. We won't be spoiling it, and if you're watching the video version, the footage I've put together is it's as spoiler-free as it can be, given that it's a story-based JRPG, but nothing is further than the first 2 or 3 hours, I think. Maybe a little bit, but that's nothing in a JRPG, but just in case, a little spoiler warning, we won't be spoiling the game, and the footage is as spoiler-free as it could really be without being just randomised nonsense. So, yeah. So, I also have been playing it, I should say. And I also agree that it's a 10 out of 10. So, I mean, it's not going to be a particularly heated discussion. But I think the thing I want to mention is, because you guys are fans of the series, right? I'm not. I'm actually the opposite of that. I don't hate it. Okay, I will point that out. And I have tried many a time because I've always felt like I love that genre. It should be something I'm into. But it's never worked for me. And I think this does. I think it's because of the combat. This is the closest I've ever seen a JRPG go from being like a JRPG, but with like a third-person action-adventure combat. No, it's not that. It's not that. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake did this very well as well. It's like there's opportunities for comboing. There's a lot you can do here in the combat, but it also feels really malleable and upgradable. Like I initially didn't realize like straight away that you were going to be able to, like, say for example, your arts, which are it's kind of magic, your specials. You can your moves. Yeah, you can cast I think 3 of them to start with, maybe 2. I can't remember, 2 or 3 to start with.
No, yeah, you can 3 to start with. Yeah,
3 to start with, but I didn't, and I thought that would be it. So I thought you'd always have to kind of work around that, almost like work out. Oh, okay. Well, this one uses 2, but I really like it, so I'm going to have to always kind of work out a way of. I'm going to work out the combos for this that I can incorporate that, and then as you progress, you can do 4 and so on, and like.
You mean your AG meter goes up?
Yes, yeah. You can unlock the ability to increase the AG meter.
Yes,
and
that's right. Yeah.
I think there's so many decisions in this game that are just like super smart. Like even then 2 or 3 hours in, and you're like, normally with most games, even JRPGs, you're like, okay, I got it. And then they introduce like the flaming sword, and I'll say nothing more than the flaming sword. And I actually got stuck on that because it kept saying, do this move and hold the button down. I was like, but I don't have that move equipped. And I didn't realise that it was a tutorial and I could just change it to the move that it was telling me, because certain move, we can't get that deep into the weeds here because it's too granary. It's so clever, and it just keeps introducing things that enhance something you're already like, this is really good, and then they'll add something else, and you're like, okay, fair enough, you've proven me wrong, but that's about as good as this is going to get. And then another thing gets introduced, and you're like, Jesus, lads, you left this all on the pitch, didn't you? Because there's like, and you know what, I'm with Adam as well. I'm not going to sit here and say the story is it's majestic, but it's I enjoyed
it does do a few things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are a few beats in the story that I was kind of like, okay, like I was like, this is a bit kind of ridiculous, but I'm kind of up for it. Like, I'm not expecting to, as you say, get this like serious in-depth story, but they do try like a few things that are just that little bit different to keep you going. And I think the characters, like I like them all. I like all the characters in it.
I was hoping Shion. Is that how you say it?
Shion, yeah.
I must admit, I think you guys are a lot further than me because I've been playing something else, and I can't talk about that yet, but we'll talk about that another time. And I did find myself wanting her to kind of. I mean, they talk about the thorns around her and how she's spiky, and it's both a metaphorical and literal, spikiness. Yeah. And there are a few bits of that where I'm like, oh, come on now. But then also you have to. I think there's also the point where I was feeling that someone literally said, like, go easy on her. Like, she's never been allowed. Nobody could ever be close to her, physically or mentally, because of the thing that's happening to her. So I kind of was like, maybe I'm wanting it to be more gamey than that, or maybe I'm wanting the
but you also
go ahead.
You can also see that like beat of her as well, just being like kind of
she has moments where she breaks down a bit, and then hang on a minute, I'm not letting you through just yet. And I'm 10-ish hours, and I suspect that's
I mean, I preferred that. I think I said to you, I preferred that to just everyone getting along for 30, 40 hours, whatever, which is sometimes what happens, And I think it's quite interesting, especially with the, obviously, though Shion being like the second character, like the first two, they normally always get on at the start of these types of events, and then you might meet someone who's a bit of a moody person later on, but the people that start on the adventure are always really pally with each other. Whereas actually it's quite refreshing, I thought, to have actually her just be really kind of standoffish from the start, and a bit kind of guarded. So I found that quite interesting.
And she does keep doing things that are like, oh, well, I'm only doing it because it helps us all. And it's like, yeah, that's not the case, because you didn't have to heal that child.
Obviously, definitely won't spoil anything, but the narrative obviously does progress, and there are character arcs and explanations and things like that. that go throughout the game that kind of explain stuff and things like that. But yeah, I agree with Adam. I found all the characters interesting. Yes, some of the kind of, you can see some similarities to other Tales games and other JRPGs, of course, in some of the characters. You're not going to create a whole, completely never before seen band of characters. But
I don't think this feels like a Tales game. If this had been called Fire Arise, and I wouldn't have played it and gone, is this actually a Tales game? It does, to me, this doesn't. I don't feel like there are the machinations of what I think of with a Tales game, really.
Yeah, I think, it depends. There are so many nods to Tales games that fans of this game will absolutely adore. Okay. Like the thing that, even just the things are named and the names of the arts and things like that. Like, idiots like me were like, oh, the first time I did something or I unlocked an art, I was like, I know what that one is. Let's go, kind of thing. But you're right. It's not like paint by numbers Tales game. That's part of the reason why, for me, it's a 10 out of 10, because it is traditional in the sense that there are things that make a good JRPG and a good Tales game in here, but there are also a realization that this game needs to move forward with the times, and maybe it hasn't been historically, not to make bad games in the series, the previous ones, but not really standing out to the next level like this one does, because it embraced, like you say, the combat and what it does there. It does almost feel like a Devil May Cry at times, that you get vibes of things like say Final Fantasy VII or Scarlet Nexus at times as well, and it just feels really fun to do the combat. Like said in my review, you don't want to skip any fight. I want to go in and I want to fight every enemy I come across, and I'm doing that for tens of hours, and I'm still wanting to fight.
It's the thing you keep thinking will wear off, because most games that are really good in this genre, you will do that, but there will become a point where you stop doing that because you don't. But it's not. I'm not doing them because it's like, oh well, I want to grind and get. Because leveling is it matters, but leveling doesn't seem like a huge deal so far for me. I'm doing it because I want to play that combat. I'm doing it because I want to.
Exactly.
I want to use my. I think, is it Rising Wyvern? I want to flick them up into the air when they've been broken. I want to do me 3 hits with my sword, and then I want to combo down into them and continue that on. And then maybe I've done that for long enough that the D-pad move become available, and I want to bring. I want to and like it. Like you said it in the review, I think, respecting your time. And that's another thing that's important. Like with, I forget what they're called, but those moves that you can activate on the D-pad, they're kind of team up things. Which I think of more as a Dragon Quest thing, actually, the teaming up stuff. I forget what they're called in that game, but those things, sometimes, if you've done enough damage averaging across the battle, you will finish the battle by doing this ultra move, because the other enemies are a bit weaker, the enemy you were using it on is weak, and it respects your time by saying, yeah, it's cool, battle over, you've done them. And that's quite people always talk about like the sort of Eastern developers, like the people behind the Tales, not specifically them, but that sort of area of game development is still trying to do things. Nintendo's always held up as like, you're still doing the online in the way you think's best and not the way that everyone else actually does that works. Yeah. And this is like, there is a heavy westernization, and not in a bad way, of what I think of as a Tales game, especially with that sort of stuff where it's like, we respect your time. This is already a long game, and there's a lot of games, and we respect that you want to play this and finish it, so we're going to make this an option for you. I was going to say about the DLC as well. Did anyone actually try the DLC?
Oh, yeah.
Did you try it?
Yeah.
Because I haven't tried it.
No, I didn't.
So I didn't try it purely because, like, I wanted to experience the game as it was kind of designed from the core for when I was reviewing it.
Did you find it particularly difficult? I forget. I can't remember. I think I've not found anything particularly difficult so far.
The only difficulty I find is when you get to either the bosses or those like big named enemies. The day-to-day grunt stuff.
Or the stadium Coliseum thing.
The Colosseum stuff, you kind of almost arrive at a little bit too underleveled, or I did anyway. So you tend to come back to that when you're a bit, because it's
which is crazy that you come under level, because, as you said, never skipping a battle.
No, exactly. But then I guess the idea of it is that it is something you go back to because it's not just a thing for that moment. It's a part of the game that they've designed to again be an optional extra. And I was going to say, there's just there's so much optional stuff if you want in this game. It's a bit like it's almost the opposite of what you said about respecting time. Well, no, it is respecting time. Because if you want just the adventure, you can do that, and that is absolutely fine. You want to spend tens of hours fishing, you absolutely can. You want to go and manage a ranch, you want to go and collect like owls, you want to go and go in the Colosseum, all that sort of stuff. You could do that. You don't have to. You don't have to. There will be rewards if you do, but you don't have to. And they don't break the game if you don't get it. So you could literally follow the story and I think
and fast travel everywhere.
And fast travel everywhere. It's
fast travel
unlocked so early. Unlocked so early. And the map I thought was really good in terms of it telling you where quests are and things like that. So if you're not sure, you can just that's where that sub quest is. Okay, I want to fast travel there, or I want to walk there myself. That's cool, but at least you know where you're going. It's not like trying to figure stuff out. I thought it was very, very well kind of done map system. Very easy to follow.
You've sort of answered. There's a question in the live chat here from Phil Tyndall. How many hours are we looking at with the Tales of Arise playthrough? Does it do the old JRPG backtracking, grinding, fetch quests to extend the length of the game unnecessary, like a 20-hour game becoming a 61? You've sort of answered that, because and I can't stress enough from my perspective that the thing about all that stuff you've just mentioned is that I wanted to do it. And I am very much one of those where I'm time limited these days, and it is very much a case of, do I have to do it? No. Okay, let's try it. Is it fun? No. Then I'm not doing it, because you can. It's that old. It's the old thing of people like going. Do you remember when developers used to do like, oh, this game's X times bigger than Skyrim or whatever it was at the time? And you see that in the distance, you can go there. And my argument with that was always, that's really cool, and I respect that, and that's impressive. But unless it's interesting, what's the fucking point? Unless like you feel this, like GTA 5, for example, that world is forever interesting. It's massive, it's alive, it's interesting, it's exciting. The thing is if you make a world and you go, oh yeah, but we're 10 times bigger than GTA, that's again really impressive. But if the journey from A to B is dull, what's the point? What have you spent your time doing? You've made this enormous world that's completely devoid of actual fun. Yeah. And I think because Tails nails that combat from the very start. And do you know what? For a JRPG, it gets going quite quickly. It's not like you bang you into it. It's pretty,
It can't be stressed up. I think this is one of the most time-respecting JRPGs I've played in a while.
You can save anywhere, can't you, as well? I think
you can literally save anywhere. Yeah.
It's always auto saving, but even down to those fetch quests, right? They are there. There's numerous ones that I already had the stuff for. So you just talk to the person,
and
then you go, "Oh, I have all the shit already."
The amount of times I would go to someone and they're like, "Oh, I think it was was it potatoes and some other vegetable
and wheat or something like that."
Potatoes and wheat, and it's I've been collecting that, and you can instantly just go. So you have the conversation, and then the option would it would normally be, okay, I'll go away and get it. But the option comes up, give vegetables. Just give you the vegetables. It doesn't even take you out and then make you go back into the conversation straight away. It's like, give vegetables. And it's done. And it's done. And then you get some XP or whatever and money and
It's kind of interesting as well. When the demo came out, I remember playing it and kind of going, there's a lot going on here. A lot of systems at hand and stuff.
The
demo shows you in nearly 15 hours into the game.
The demo was interesting actually. I laughed at the demo because it wanted to show you a lot of the combat in the demo, the different things you can do.
Makes sense.
And I remember it kind of showing you the controller and saying, here's all the things that it does, all the buttons and the inputs that you've got to remember for all the different things that you've unlocked at that point in the game. And you go to kind of go, yep, okay. And it literally says to you, are you sure you have understood all of these controls? Because there are loads. And it's well, no, but let's go for it. But it doesn't ever feel like, because I felt like when you went to the demo, you were like, whoa, what am I doing? And almost to the point where, I certainly in the demo was when you're calling on your friends to kind of do moves and stuff, I was just spamming stuff, I wasn't really thinking about it. Whereas play it now, and it's much different how I'm using my party.
I said to you when we were, this is at the start of the game, when we just started it a few weeks ago, and I remember saying to you, I think in fact actually it did pop up in the B-roll I was just showing as we were talking a little while ago. There's a bit where it tells you that you can do something with Shion's grenades or something, you can press a button, and I read that and I was like, I No, I can't, because it was specifically saying press R1. Now, in this game, R1 is how you attack with your sword as the masked guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what? So I thought, what does it want me to do here? So I was like, hang on, so have I got to like time my sword attack with her grenades landing? And then I think it was when I met the third character and a similar message popped up, and I'm like, oh shit, you can play as them.
Yeah,
you can switch to them. You can control them in the battle,
Yeah.
and then the masked guy, the main character, he's AI controlled. Because I knew you could change who you controlled in the field, like who you're running around and looking at.
Yeah, your party leader. Yeah,
I changed it and then I changed it back. So I just left it as the masked dude. But then it was like when the third character, and this is like what 6-7 hours in.
Yeah,
and it's not that the game wasn't explaining it; it's that I wasn't comprehending it because what that essentially means is you could, in theory, play this game only as the masked guy.
Yeah.
Start it again and play. All right, the story would be the same, but the combat would be dramatically different with a ranged weapon wielder like Xion or a magic user like the third character, shall we say? And it only occurred to me then, wow, I don't know if I want, because I so enjoy the combat. I don't know if I want to switch to a gun or be a mage.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I could, and that means that if this is a 60-hour game, you could play it through. I just was absolutely floored because I just couldn't. I carried on ignoring it. I was like, I don't get it. I can see these grenades popping off, but I can't do anything. I've tried, like, because it's got like the dodge, and if you dodge, it slows time down, like every game of this kind does now. So I was like, have I got to do that? Is it like a really precise, almost like a tiny parry window that I've got to hit the sword at exactly the moment the grenade appears, and then, like I say, then suddenly it dawned on me that no, that's like one of her moves when you're playing as Xion, and it's like, oh my god, they didn't need to do any of that. They didn't need to do.
There's all these like. There's all these tiny little like actions they do as well that like they don't really tell you, but like when you dodge, say, and it does that whole like slow motion thing, and you kill that enemy. If you just like hit R1, he'll fly across over to like the other enemy, and it's just so slick and smooth, the whole thing. I have to say as well that like for anyone that's kind of sitting there kind of going, Tales, never played one, blah blah blah. I say the same thing like as I did for like Dragon Quest, was 11 was the last one. These are absolutely perfect entries into this.
Yeah,
absolutely. You don't need to play anything. No. I think if anything, Tales of Arise is the definitive, like nearly starting point in a way for anyone that wants to try it out, because the systems there's so many and they never feel daunting because they're never forcing you. They never feel like you're playing it bad or wrong, or you're not destroying enemies or gaining the XP, because the combo system is so like you can't repeat. Well, you can, but you're supposed to not repeat the same move. You're supposed to create a chain of combo.
Scarlet Nexus does similar, doesn't it? You can extend the combo by not repeating almost. Like it's trying to say, look, if you want to do really big combos, you got to mix it up. Whereas in Scarlet, it's really weird.
Which is why you have so many like.
It's got a lot of parallels with Scarlet Nexus, in a good way. In a good way, because Scarlet Nexus is great. And the skits are great. They're very similar in that sense as well.
I like this more. Just saying. I like.
I don't want to spoil Game of the Year conversations.
No, I'm not spoiling Game of the Year. I'm just, mate. You gave it a 10.
I know.
No, it's not going to make it. Poker Face is gone. You reviewed it. I think. It's really weird because there will be people who will be like, I'm a long-time fan, right? Well, so's Chris, so's Adam, and they're both saying 10 out of 10. And then there'll be people like, but there's been lots of Tales of games, and I've got that covered. Like I can't think of a more ringing endorsement than long-term fans of the series like yourselves saying, we both think it's a 10 out of 10 game, and someone like myself who's never played more than a few hours because I just could not gel with them. Also, but I should say I do love JRPGs, but not those series. And I'm here to say as well that I think it's a 10 out of 10. I think that's Chris White isn't here, but you can throw him into the ring because he previewed it twice, and both times it was just glowing. He was, I don't.
This game has delivered. It just absolutely has delivered. It's what I was hoping was going to happen. There was something about Tales of Arise when it got announced. I was like, Jesus, a new Tales game. What could that be like? And then when you see it was originally just going to be coming to PS4, and then the PS5 came out and all that jazz. And
runs well on the PS5, by the way. Runs real smooth on the PS5.
It runs really well. But I will say that, and sadly, we do have those occasional situations where the enemy popping happens. Like,
okay, I
you're running down a field,
but,
and then like boom, there's an enemy. Not all
they
the
sort
time.
of phase in. They phase in, like they
they
don't pop in traditional. It's more of a
Yeah, and it's fine. It is a thing that's always been there, but like I'd like to see that just go away forever, because I like to just see everything be smooth. But like, this game is just 10 out of 10.
Do you know my only complaint? Genuinely?
Come at me.
I wish it came out earlier in the year, because it's come out in a period where it is ridiculous for video games.
It's so busy at the moment.
If this had come out, imagine if this had come out in that. We didn't have much, but that very slight 2 weeks in the summer in inverted commas, where it was quieting down a bit, because I remember we were having discussions, Chris, about like, well, we're not going to have many reviews going on the site in that period, and time makes fools of us all, as they say. But like, if it had come out then, because I have other things I have to play, and we all have things we have to play for Game of the Year, because it's September right now, lads. Right now, it's September
Christ
right now.
It is
my list already of stuff I haven't started is huge, and there's so much coming out.
I mean, I keep a running Game of the Year list, and I'm obviously not going to spoil any of that here. But what I will say is that I had a 10 already months ago, and I felt that most of them were pretty much, it's going to take a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can tell you now that a lot of them have been edged into the outside category, where I haven't deleted them, but I'm like, well, I just need to have a proper think about
the sort of honourable mention type.
Like, will they come back in? Because sometimes when you're playing a game like this and it is just blowing you away, it is a case of you need that little bit of separation, and when you come to sort of December time, you're like, no, it's, and I think when you give a game a 10, it's a different matter altogether. But
I've two 10s. I've two 10s this year. Like, I've obviously
well, we know one of them. Yeah, we know.
I won't say the other one. Yeah,
I know. But, I think I know your other one.
I won't
say anymore. Should we move on to something that could not be any different to Tales of Arise if it tried? WarioWare, Get It Together. Am I the only like big fan of the WarioWare games here? Like, Ad, I would imagine you'd be into them.
I am definitely down for it. I played the demo of this, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
I can't imagine what the demo was.
It was
it timed?
So. No,
it was only a few of the games, wasn't it?
It was a few of the games, difficulty ramped up, whatever. But then it was giving you options of all the characters as well to play. So like, it wasn't
all of
like.
Them?
Well, there was a lot of them that I was playing as. Boomerang one.
She's the third one you get. So fourth.
See, I don't know how many characters in the game in total, but there was like at least
I don't want
5
to say.
I played.
Oh no, there's a lot more than 5.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is, but for a demo, they could just give you one character and play a few mini games, and that's it.
Well, yeah.
But I have to say before you go on about it that like I really want to play this game. I definitely want to like have it. There's just something weird with the Wario games are always like the $40 range, and I'm not saying that this has to be the case, because I know this. No, this is like 60 euro here.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought this game was a slightly cheaper game. I mean, it doesn't change with I think.
But either
as I'm checking, you're talking, go on.
I know that this game is like it has a lot of like replay value and all that stuff, especially with all the characters.
$39.99.
Wario games. Oh Jesus, that's not here for me at all.
That's pounds.
Where is it?
That's Amazon. I thought this was like, because normally Switch games are £60, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
This one's 40. I'm sure of it.
Like in Smith's here now in Ireland, it's like €50. Littlewood's 55.
That's cheaper though, isn't it? Slightly cheaper.
Yeah, well, it's kind of standard for Switch games, is it not?
Oh, okay.
Like
I don't know.
It's a standard Switch price game. Whereas that, like, if you think back of the Wario games, they were that little bit cheaper, maybe $30 that way.
And I thought it was
something like that. But that's regardless of it. Is the game good? I'm sure it is. It looks fun.
So I said this in the review, and I do think this will be the one that, like, I'm a long-term WarioWare game. I think they're just fantastic, and they're so universal and fun and simple for anyone to play. But I do think this one will split people down the middle, because what they've done, I think, is they've realised it's one of those games where with a Switch, because you've got the touch controller, you've got the handheld, you got the Pro Controller, you got all these ways of playing Switch, you got the motion controls. What they've done is gone, look, the way we can make sure that all these games are playable by everyone all the time is stick them on a joystick with one button, right? Kind of like what would be probably the first one would have been. wouldn't it? I think the original WarioWare would have been like that, maybe. But they've done that, and so every game is left stick, action button. It's very, very simple. And then what they've done is to make it feel different is every character moves and has a different action. So, for example, one of them is just a traditional platform game character, right? He runs around with the stick and you jump with the jump button. Wario can fly with his jetpack and he moves in any way you want, but his action is like a shoulder barge and it's whatever way you're facing. There's a dog that can only shoot right. So his counterpart is a I think a cat or a dog that can only shoot left. There is there's a guy that can't move at all, but he can shoot rapidly from standing on the spot. And every level's been designed so that they're playable with every character. Because for example, levels that they need you to move around with. Well, if you're playing as a character who can't move or a character that can't stop moving, that's an issue. So the games have been designed to be kind of modular in a way that if you're playing as there's a character on screen now who never stops moving, and the action button shoots his yo-yo up and down. So in some levels there will be like rings that you hit them with your yo-yo, and you grab the ring, and the ring will move you to where you need to be if it's a platforming level, because you can't jump and you can't change his direction, right? So they've got around a lot of it in that way, and it's really clever. And I don't want to spoil anything. There's a lot of fan service, and there's you can level up your characters. What I'm trying to say is that when you finish the story, there is more to do. And as I said it in the video review, and that was a review, I sort of ummed and ahed about the online aspect of this game. Like the fact that there is sort of a leaderboard version, and there's no, you and I can't play, you guys. We can't play unless we're in the same room. And I thought about that, and I ummed and ahed, because sometimes, I remember thinking about, remember the Tomb Raider game, the first reboot that was superb, and the online was shite, and it's it's part of the game, so you've got to mark this game accordingly. And I thought about this, and I thought, I can't mark this game down because it hasn't got something. And I started thinking about it even more, and thinking, well, is it lazy, though? Is it lazy they haven't incorporated it? I don't think it would work. We're not talking about mini-games, like a Mario Party here. They refer to Wario versions. They're called micro games. These games last seconds. Like if you're looking at the video version right now,
5 seconds.
You're literally 1, 2. It's finished. That mini game's finished. We've got more. There's more animation than the gameplay. So we're back in another mini game now. We've started at 1, 2, 3. We finished the mini game. These are seconds long. I don't think it would be very easy to design. It would have to be perfect. When you are talking 3-second long action, it has to be perfect. So I kind of feel like, yes, I understand people who'll be like, oh, come on, it's 2021, where's the online? I don't think it would be any good. Also, you think about a game you play online. Or
it could be terrible. It could be good.
It could be. I'm sure there are people who could design it.
But but you see Mario Maker too.
Yes.
And some of that lag is atrocious.
Yep.
Our experience with 3D World.
3D World, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So it could be good. It could be. But the other thing is when you think, like Adam, you mentioned 3D World there, and we would get together and play for an hour and a half. You're not doing that with WarioWare. You're not doing that with WarioWare. You would be getting together in a lobby for a mini-game action that would take 3 minutes. And then it would be a bit like, do you want to carry on or do you want to go? And then someone leaves and it's like, okay, we'll matchmake again. And you would be spending probably more time in menus than gameplay.
Yeah. It's more hassle than it is anything else.
I think so.
The idea.
It's always been as well. Let's be honest. It's always been that
pass and play.
People around the TV having a laugh together in the same room, taking the mick out of each other type thing. I'm not saying you can't do that type of thing online. I'm saying you can't, but that's always what the WarioWare has been. The frantic nature of being in the room together kind of thing. That's kind of part of it, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's an odd game to come out when people are uncomfortable about being in a room together and stuff. It has all these weird aspects surrounding it, but I don't know how this game is doing in sales wise. It's odd. It's an odd one, and I want to play it, but then at the same time, I'd rather be playing this kind of game in a room with buddies and just actually sharing that experience.
The thing is, man, I know the big thing about this one is you can play co-op. it's not the thing that made me go, oh yeah, this game's great. Like the thing that made me think that this game's great is like, and I've deliberately put none of this in any of the video review or the B-roll you're watching as we talk. The NES classics, they've been doing that more and more often. They've been leaning on their older properties in a lot of games then. And I'm 40 years old, and on the sofa behind me, just over my left, that shoulder, camera right, camera left, my right, I genuinely was like, oh, like that. I've just made I genuinely squealed with excitement and glee at that when I first played that section of the game, because some of the references and it's so that it makes you think. Because a lot of people are like, why don't they put out more virtual console stuff? Why don't they do more of that? They know people. Do they not realise people love that stuff? And then when you play something like that, you're like, oh, they absolutely know. And I wonder actually if they dish it out at just the right amount of portions. So you are like, oh God, to always leave you wanting more. It's the old adage of when you're on stage, always leave the audience wanting more. And that's maybe a bad thing when you're paying a lot of money for it. But man, it's not the best game of the year, and I said it in the review. There are elements of it that are slightly, it's literally micro games. It's forgettable. It's odd to me that the trailer they just put out for the launch has more voice acting from Wario in it than in the entire game, which is so odd because it's really undervoiced actually, some of it. But I just dig these games, and I'm so pleased that a company the size of Nintendo does still make them. They still make these games that are so kind of weird, It just, I don't know.
I think it's great, as you're saying. It is great to have it out there and to take that kind of property and keeping it alive and stuff.
I didn't think we'd get one on Switch. I thought we'd go a whole generation without a Wario game.
Because if I'm honest, dude, when you boil it down to it just being micro games and stuff, I think it's just a matter of time of Nintendo going, do you know what? Maybe it's not worth our time releasing a full-on game that we for full price, whatever, and maybe just throw it onto the fucking online thing that people pay a subscription for, and like create the mini games there, and there's something.
There's a boss battle. Like there's like at the end of each section, there's boss battles, and the one for the Nintendo Classic one, you'll lose. I'm sure it's banging. You will lose your shit. Like it is so like I didn't.
It's obviously it's something Zelda, is it?
No, but there is something Zelda in there, which was also like, that is so clever.
My shit is lost.
Yep. Let's move on to Lost in Random, a game that's out now. Review as we do this podcast is live on the site. Chris White gave it 8 out of 10. I think I'm there or thereabouts with it. Maybe a little cooler on it. Like it's a gorgeous game. Absolutely gorgeous game. I found the problem I had with it is that the actual randomness works against it in some like the battles are against the simplest of enemies, but they take ages. Like there's a flying enemy that I haven't finished it yet, but I never really got to grips with how to defeat this flying enemy the simplest of ways, because I never ended up, my bow card would never arrive in my deck. I only had one of them and it would just never show up. So whenever they were there, I was like, okay. So the combat in this game is genuinely ingenious, brilliant. The controls in the world are a little clunky. There's some weird locomotion with Even, who you play as, that when you're like holding the run button down, she flails her arms in a certain way that if you make her turn too sharply, she kind of can't. The animations doesn't allow for that movement, if that makes sense. And because, like I say, the combat's great, but you are reliant on getting the right cards. So you're reliant on building the correct deck in which to see off your enemies. And there are so many ways of doing it. Like there are cheats. You can get cheat cards, defense cards, weapon cards, and I think hazard cards, the other ones. And they've all got their uses in battle, and as I got deeper into the game, I was like, okay, no, I'm getting a bit of a hang on this now, because I understand that this is the one I want these cards. So I was moving stuff around. It introduces like ways for you to attack the enemy without directly attacking the enemy, and I was on the 4th of 6th worlds when I stopped playing for the pod actually, and like there's definitely a really good game here. I think it's going to be a very, very, very serious victim of like fixture pile up, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know how this. And it's funny because I spoke to the devs. I did like an interview freelance for NME.com, and one of the things they said, and you can listen. I'm going to pimp it quickly. You can go and read my interview on there. And one of the things they were talking about was that kind of breaking through the noise. Like, you know, indie games, there are a lot of them. I think the guy said, like, there's millions of indie games breaking through and being heard, and how EA help with that by being an EA Originals game, right?
Mm.
And then someone on, I think he was on either on our Discord or on our YouTube channel for the video review Chris did, said, like, have they been promoting this game at all? And it's like, yeah, have they? But then did they for Knockout City? Did they for It Takes Two? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but I think this game's going to struggle because it's been released the same week as WarioWare. So if you want something that's kind of like that whimsical looking game that's on the Switch, you're covered. If you want your big Japanese JRPG, next week's Deathloop, or if you're watching this after the live fact, Deathloop's out. It's an interesting one because I like so much of this game. But the random nature of it, literally the random rolling of the dice, can mean that if you have not got your deck in perfect order, which is difficult because as you're playing, you're getting new cards and learning how to play it. You can roll stuff, and also, so the biggest thing is, right, so you start off with Dicey, and he's got 2 dots, right, on his dice, right? So when you roll your dice, when you roll
I love
Dicey,
him, he's called Dicey, sorry.
Yeah, well, I know, but he's actually not called Dicey, but I'm not going to say any more than that. That's what she calls him, Dicey. His name's forgotten actually, but it's not Dicey. It's not Dicey. So you roll Dicey, right, and he'll roll a 1 or a 2 because that's the maximum he can roll until you progress the story. Which means you are very limited as to what you can do in your turn. The most you can get is 2 mana. There is a card that you can use that uses 0 that allows you to get a third, so like a bonus point, as it were. But that's still 3 maximum, and you can buy more of those cards. But then you're filling your deck out with those cards to be able to get more spendable points. Then you unlock like the 3rd dot, and you can probably guess where this is going with the game. In that you progress through like the 3-dom, 4-dom, 5-dom, the 6s. You know, that's the idea. Is that by the end of the game, I'm guessing, I haven't finished it, you will have 6 dots on Dicey. It'll be super powerful because you can roll a 6, and then I bet there's even a thing where like you can roll a 6, you get to roll again. You know, I bet there's even something like that. But the first 4 hours, 5-6 hours, you are, if you're playing the game at your own pace, doing side quests, that's all you're going to be able to roll, which means some of these battles take a really long time. Really long time. They're a war of attrition. You have to just wear them down. There's moments where you are just... when you've only got 2, you are literally like using your bow and arrow thingy... your slingshot just to knock the crystals off to collect the power to be able to roll Dicey. You roll him, and there's nothing in your hand that you can use to actually kill the enemies. So then you're just running around the arena, essentially kiting the enemies and getting the blue crystals by using a slingshot, which doesn't do any damage unless you use a special card that makes it do damage. Dodging out the way, and until you got something in your deck that you're like, oh, I can use, like, on the screen right now. Oh, great! So I'll get an extra mana. Oh, look, there's 2 heal potions and a crystal curse. There's no sword. There's no bow and arrow. There's no spit. And it's like,
kind of missing. It's kind of missing a few ingredients. It sounds like.
Ish. I mean, you can pin
or Adam's
cards.
bad at deck building, one of the two.
No, the deck building is fine. But like you can pin cards, and that's another thing. You can pin more cards. So to start with, you can pin 1 card. So it's like, right, I don't want that card to vanish. I want that card next turn or turn after. So I'll pin that. That will always be one of the cards that comes in the deck. And then later on, you can pin 2 cards and so on. So you can get and once I got to 2 pins, I was more in control of the combat because I was always able to go, right, I've got that one. I'm not having that. I'm not risking that randomly not coming up again. Like, again, on the screen right now, there's one there with 3 on it, and that one is so powerful. Like, it is just such it's a heavy weapon. And so you pin it because you'll get 3 at some point because you'll roll a 2 and you'll get a thing to unlock the one that gives you the extra one to make it 3. And like, it's genuinely really interesting. Like, really interesting game. And I really think that sort of should be celebrated because it's so unique.
And I'd like to give this a shot.
I think you'd like it, man. I really do. I just think it's one of those.
I do like what I'm seeing.
It's just a hard sell right now.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah.
Right now, yeah.
And that sucks. But then, I mean, when you also think of it from a publisher's perspective, like with EA Originals involved, it's the third one this year. In previous years we'd have got Fee, which was by the same developer actually as this. It's Zoink. There was Sea of Solitude, but these were like you'd get one a year. They've ramped this up. We've had It Takes Two, Knockout City, Lost in Random, 3 EA Originals games. Now, Lost in Random is an interesting one because it's also published by Thunderful, which is the group that also owns like the SteamWorld Dig people. So there's actually a huge amount of creativity at that sort of publisher, which is really cool. And I'm not here to be like, avoid it, because I do recommend it. It's beautiful, if nothing else. Like, look at it. It is gorgeous. It's whimsical. There's not many games made that look like this. Do you know what I mean? And to add in the fact that the combat is just completely unique, is so worth shouting about. But of the 3 games we've talked about this week, is it my favourite of the 3? I'm afraid the answer is no. That's not to say I don't like it. It's to say that there's only so much money and time in the world, and I feel really bad for them that they've come out this week, because even if you're like, I don't really fancy them, I might go for that. Deathloop's another thing next week, which is a very different kind of game to all the others, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so much choice at the moment, but I would recommend Lost in Random. It's so unique, clever. It makes you smile. It's quite dark in places, and it's well worth the journey. It's well worth the journey so far. I'm going to probably go back and finish it. Just like I say, I've got other things to play. Shall we do some listener correspondence? I don't know why I ask that every week, because basically if you said no, we'd be doing it anyway. So I mean, I don't know why I asked. But let's start. Chris Hyde, let's start with you for this question. Nike G on our Discord says, as we approach 1 year anniversary for the new generation of consoles, which is true, what do you believe both machines are doing well? And also, what do you believe that both machines are missing?
In terms of missing, it's hard not to get wrapped into the I don't have enough storage conversation. Although I will say, sadly, I'm referring to my PS5 when I say that more than my Xbox at the moment. But I think that probably leads on to other things in terms of I think Sony have been doing quite well in terms of their kind of the pacing, I guess, of their sort of exclusives and things, and feeling like there's games coming up. I know Microsoft have obviously got their 6 games in 6 months thing, so it feels like now it's gaining pace. But
they're not their games.
No, I know, but I guess in terms of a generation of consoles, I think, in terms of the machines.
Fair. And let's face it, Psychonauts is a banger. So I mean,
yeah, exactly. It feels, but I guess for like, it's taken almost 6 months for Microsoft to then have their 6 months, 6 games in 6 months, whereas it feels better paced, I guess, on the PlayStation. But yeah, I think in terms of missing, I'm not. It's not going to change. I can keep moaning about it, but it's not going to change the fact that the disk space is tiny, and I resent it. But other than that, trying to think if anyone else wants to jump in. But they're the things that come to mind straight away.
The other night, I was playing Overcooked, All You Can Eat Edition with one of our lovely patrons, who's asked a question later, Stephen. And it occurred to me as we were setting up the game, PlayStation 3, the online, the chat, the party stuff, dog shit. Right? Sorry, Sony, it was. PlayStation 4, they got back on track and it was manageable and it worked. The trophies were there from the start, that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. How the hell have they made it worse? Like, I was thinking about this, like the party chat and stuff is so bizarre on the PlayStation 5. Like, you have to create a party.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I can't hear anyone. Oh, join voice chat. Well, that's the party, isn't it? It's not a fucking party where you're not talking, otherwise, is it?
They've literally made
it
like
a party. You're laughing at it, but they call it a party.
Confusing. Like I've so many times I have left a party group when all I've wanted to do is leave the current chat.
Right, and then it's a thing, and it will tell you won't be able to go back into this, and it's like, hang on, so are you actually creating rooms? Like, do I create a room called Adam and Chris?
Yeah. All I want to do is stop talking right now. I don't want to say I'll never talk to these people again.
Yeah.
I just want to stop.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah, whereas before it was just like, leave party. Yeah. And it was really easy. I mean, now I literally just bloody turn my PlayStation off. That's me leaving, right? Because it's the only quick way I can leave a party without being told, well, there's other crap. So I just literally turn my PlayStation off when I'm leaving now. But like, they've made it more complicated. I don't know if it's just I'm used to the PS4 interface and stuff, but it does feel less intuitive than before. I will agree with you on that.
Xbox needs to just nick that. PlayStation needs to just nick Xbox's way of doing party chat and group chat. Like, for me, on the other end of things, like the Xbox, I don't think they can solve this problem. And the problem they've got with me as a personal user is I love the Xbox, right? I do. That Series X is superb. It's powerful. I like it. I think it looks the best. Like the box itself looks great. Controller, fantastic. But they give me no reason to turn it on because I have a gaming PC. And if I didn't, then maybe that would be different. And I don't know what they've been pretty clear. We are not making exclusives. We'll make exclusives that you can't play on PlayStation, that you can play on PC. You don't have to like it. It doesn't have to be a popular thing to say. The only way you can play Bloodborne is on a PlayStation. The only way you can play God of War is on a PlayStation. Now, they are changing that, so they've obviously seen something from Microsoft's perspective.
But now, I was going to say.
But it sounds bloody awful. I can't say it. I want to say I want Forza Horizon 5 to be only on Xbox. I can't say it.
But I know what you mean. You want a reason
I would be on that bloody Xbox.
Yeah, you want a reason to turn it on.
Yeah. And
I know
like,
what you mean.
I want a reason to hook it up to the TV behind me because I can. But there's no need because the Xbox is in our lounge, and we use it to watch Apple TV and Netflix on mostly, and that's not having a go at it because I'm glad it can do that. But if I wanted to play like Forza 5, I will play it on the Xbox, but I could just play it on this PC. And that's not a complaint. That is a fantastic value proposition. That is them saying, give us a $10 or $15 a month and play your games any fucking way you please. And that is a phenomenal thing. But I'm an old bastard and I want to sit on my sofa and play a game with the controller in my hand unless it's a first-person shooter. Like, I don't know. Adam?
I'm the same. I'm the exact same, which I think space is the biggest problem for me. I just...
Like, if I'm sat here, I'm working. Like, very rarely, if I'm sat here, am I not working? And even if it's a weekend and I'm sat here playing it, I don't play PC games on the weekend because something comes up.
Yeah.
So give me a reason to detach from that, but it's just not going to happen, and that's...
I'm just sick to death of seeing the red exclamation mark in my download update file area.
Okay.
And it's just...
It happens it's like for me, like it used to happen on my PS4, but I had a few years before it started to like moan at me, and that was because every PlayStation Plus game I used to just download and add to it. Whereas now it's just like, guys, it's been like 4 months. Why am I already full? And now I just add PlayStation Plus games to my library. I don't download them unless I want to play them. So they're there if I ever do want them. But no, that's all I'm doing because I'm like, space is at a premium here.
On the PlayStation side of things, I think that they keep updating that system firmware and saying stability and blah, 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 but they're still not stable. Like, I was playing a game the other day, so I put it into rest mode and finished it, came back the next day. PlayStation booted up, did the noise, screen was black. Okay, what's going on in here then? Nothing. You hold the button down to restart it, comes back on, it's working fine. It's like, well, what the fuck? You know,
I've not had any issues, to be honest.
It
which
still,
is good.
for me, does have a stability issue. It's getting better. No, I mean, I enjoy the PlayStation. I still think they've made the UI worse, but like, I do like it. It feels flash and new, and you know, I don't know, but like, we can move on to like this. Failgunner's question is linked in: is anyone planning on buying an SSD for PS5 or Series X? I've nearly pulled the trigger on the Series S, well, X one to plug into a Series S before. Nearly, it's just too much. It's just too much. Like, I can't do it.
I've got one for my PS4 games on my PS5.
No, what, an SSD? Oh,
Yeah.
PS4 games. No, but he means like I think.
Yeah.
So I can answer this by saying I have this.
Oh right,
Actually,
yeah.
Turn it around. So I reviewed this. This is the actual hard drive on it. I'm sorry, this is really bad for audio. This is the kind of hard drive that you can put in a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Only this bit on the top is the heatsink. That bit you can see now. Sorry again, this is video only. This bit really. That's the hard drive. Okay, so you can buy them, but that's got a heatsink on it, and they recommend you use heatsink ones. Now I'm looking forward to this firmware being updated to see if this one fits in that PlayStation 5, and 2 is compatible because it's a PNY one, which is it's a very highly known brand. It's a 1 terabyte SSD that doubles the storage. I don't think it's going to fit. Whether it'll be compatible or not, I don't know. But it
looks like a harmonica.
Yep. Yeah. I'd say this is all the heatsink. If I do that, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very easy to do on camera. That's the hard drive. What you can see of it now. It's a tiny sliver. It's no thicker than this placemat. But that has a heatsink, so it cools. It's got its own cooling stuff in it.
Yeah.
It will cool itself down. I haven't got any ones with heatsinks in my PC. They're just the M2. These are not cheap, and they are very fast. I'll be really interested to see if that works in the PlayStation 5. It's literally sat over here on top of a box waiting for that firmware update to come so I can do it. As for the Series X one, I just can't spend that kind of money on it. It's the least exciting thing you could ever buy, isn't it? Like you buy it, put it in, done, finished, never going to think of that ever again. Mm-hmm. And then what happens when that gets full? Do you have to buy one?
No, that's when you start going. That's when you start culling games, isn't it?
So why not just do that to begin with?
Well, this is what I am doing.
There you go.
Well, I mean,
I wasn't saying you. Sorry, I wasn't having to go at you for it.
Oh, okay.
I can. If you
I
want.
think it's more the amount of games you can fit on the current one versus the amount of ones you can fit on the other one before you had to have storage. Which we've talked about that a million times before. But that's the difference.
Phil Tyndall in the chat says, just bought the Series X expansion card as I'd run out of space ages ago and was sick of moving games to an older hard drive. €250, which is half the price of the console.
It's exactly
crazy. And that's so for me, I would be buying it for a Series S,
which is like the price.
Is basically, if I'd bought another X, that's what it would have cost. So it's like, and it would be more powerful. So I kind of refuse to allow myself to do it. Right, this question, I think we're going to have to set some rules for. Okay.
Okay.
I think we'll start with Adam, then we'll go to Chris, and then I'll give mine, because I think mine's really obvious. And I think we're going to have to there's no bullshitting around. You just tell us the answer, give us a brief explanation as to why, because otherwise we're going to be here all night. Okay? Do we all agree on this?
Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know. What is the question?
Well, this is what. McPoo from Discord. Adam Carroll. What is your favourite RPG? Can be JRPG, Western RPG, strategy RPG, and any and all RPGs here are eligible. What is your favourite RPG?
Persona 4 Golden.
Would you like to give us a brief explanation as to why?
Because it's the best JRPG of all time.
Fair enough.
And that's it. Like, I could go on all day about it, but I'm not going to do it. It is just my favourite. I absolutely adore it.
I mean,
11 out of 10.
It would totally be in the conversation for me. Totally. Christopher Hyde, what is your favourite RPG?
So mine is Secret of Mana on the SNES. Just because, like, it's my personal favourite game of all time. Like, it's probably probably one of the first RPGs I ever played. Probably, I think. And I've played that game so many times, inside and out. I adore it. The music, characters, everything. So probably that. Go with my gut as my favourite game. Not the best RPG, my favourite RPG.
Okay. Don't know why you said that. Mine is Final Fantasy VII. It's the game I played the most.
Couldn't have guessed it.
No, I'd never have guessed that.
Jesus.
It's my second favourite game of all time. And joint first, maybe. Wonder
what the other one is.
Yeah, all right, fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Fucking won't bother then. It's fine, move on.
No, it's more of a dig at Lyle for not guessing certain things in our Discord.
Oh, all right, yeah. Deadbeats Punk Stain says, if you could transform into an animal at will, which animal would you pick and why? Bonus points for Croc. Adam Carroll, what animal would you transfer into and why?
Polar bear, they're pretty quality.
I don't know what I expected, but yeah, okay.
Is that your reason? Because they're pretty quality?
Yeah, but they are what are you going? Okay, what are you going? Whatever animal you pick, so Adam Cook, I want to hear your explanation as to why. Like, what is it like? That's
the question.
Really aggressive now.
All right, fine. I was going to let Chris do it, but I've got two.
Go on.
Okay, and I'm struggling.
You can't pick two.
No, let me finish. I'm struggling. I will come to a decision. I would go for a dog or a cat, right? But if I'm a dog, it has to be with the caveat that it's of nice family. Because if you've seen how well dogs get treated in nice families, when they loving families, because obviously we know that dogs can be mistreated. All animals can be.
Yeah.
But if you've seen the way a dog's looked after, you've seen a dog down there getting a bit of bacon off the dinner table when he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
My dog gets fucking eggs. If we have eggs for sorry, Chris.
Eggs?
You might want to for a minute. But if we have like a cooked breakfast, right, you'll hear the dog sort of going, hang on, the mic going.
It's gone down to your penis.
Yeah.
You can hear that, yeah?
Yeah.
Right? That's because he's scratching, and I'm thinking, what's the dog doing? And it took a while, and I realised he's getting an egg. He's getting an egg. He's getting his own egg. And then I promise you, right? One time, I forget what meal we were going to have. We have like a noodle night where we have noodles and pork. It's really spicy and hot, and then a couple of boiled eggs cut open into the ramen sort of thing. All right, Chris. Jesus. And we got home, and my wife came out, and she does this, and it's such a lovely, tasty. Everyone loves it. Spicy, it's hot. And she looked really sheepish.
All right.
She'd given the dog an egg that morning, and it meant we didn't have enough eggs for our dinner. And if I was our dog, I would think, oh man, I've got it made. Now, the reason I say or a cat is because cats don't give a fuck, do they?
No, cats don't take any shit.
We had a cat
anybody.
Before a dog, and it would be like, oh, you're home, stroke me, and then he would, and then he'd just go away, and not 24 hours later, he'd be like, where's the cat? Oh, he's come back in, he wants food.
Yeah, we had 12 cats before, and it was something else at the time. Like
12.
It was like, yeah, when I was small, we had 12 cats, and
well, Adam seems to have got so excited that we can't hear him anymore.
Broken the internet with 12 cats.
No, you're still scratchy. Oh, hello, Adam. You still there?
Hello, am I still?
You said hello.
You said 12 cats.
12 cats we got. That's all we got. No, he's silent now. If it helps, Adam, given that we're live, it sounds like a microphone cable is slightly loose. So
Should I talk?
Yes.
So
Please.
I was going to say some sort of like bird, like an eagle or something, because they can transform into it. It's not like I'm permanently it. So if I just wanted to get around easier, I'd just fly there.
Yeah.
So, the fact that I can transfer in and out, I'd be like, I want to go over there. Don't want to walk or run or whatever. I'll just fly. So, and if I'm going to be a bird, I might as well be one of the badass ones, like an eagle or something.
Do you remember?
Like a sparrow.
I've just remembered. I wonder if this is where this question comes from, right? Do you remember the scene in Bottom where Rick Mail and Adrian Edmondson are about to die on a carnival, and they start talking about reincarnation and how Adrian Edmondson, Eddie says he's going to come back as a giraffe.
Yeah.
Because he'd be able to get his head above the trees and watch all the models having topless helicopter lessons. Adam, are you still there? Are you still having issues?
Am I there? Can you hear
are
me?
there, mate. 12 cats before we move
12
on.
12 cats, man. 12 cats. Had a cat called Spyro. He was depressed. He killed himself. He succeeded. That's my...
Jesus. Maybe you should have stayed silent.
Fucking hell. I mean, I'm not being funny, but one of the comments says, Adam's better just video and no audio. And I was thinking how rude, but I agree now.
Yeah.
He was a shitbag, though. He used to always go out on the road and sit there, and you'd be like, Spyro, man, come on. And then one day I came back from school, and he was squashed.
Oh, okay, I was going to ask how he did it, but I thought that would be too much, but we've just found out. Speaking of sitting down... Oh, no, there's no way this works. ROTMM says, Darren says, do you piss standing up or sitting down so you can ask questions on Discord?
Now, it depends, doesn't it, on, like...
It's not just...
Well, no... So, okay, I might be on my own here, but if you go obviously going in and the sole purpose of you going for a piss is just to have a piss. It's a standing job, in, out, job's a good one. If you're going in for some me time, then it's a sit-down job, isn't it?
If you're asking when you number 2, do you piss first, then sit down and have a shite? No.
No, I'm saying, have you never had some me time without a shite? Is my question.
In the toilet, outside of the shower.
Sorry, are you asking if you? No, do you sit down in the bedroom and go for a piss? Of course, in the bathroom.
No, but it sounds like you're saying, and apologies if I'm getting this all wrong. It sounds like you're saying sometimes you go for a wee, but you sit down and have that wee because you fancy just being on your own for a bit.
Just like if I'm just checking my phone or something.
No, but is that what you are saying?
Yeah.
Can
shit. But
so you'll just sit down in the jacks, do the wheeze.
You see?
Chill out.
No. You're saying when you want a bit of you time.
Like you're like not really up for kind of going out to the bathroom right now, so don't need to have a poo.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'll take a sit down and a bit of a talk and a bit of a wee and check out the phone.
This is what I'm saying. Can I maybe suggest that there are nicer places to spend some time than the toilet if you want to sit and look at your phone?
Probably. I don't know. Maybe I'm just inherently lazy and like it's an opportunity to sit down again.
No, do you know what?
That's probably more the answer.
When you get to my age and you start getting up in the middle of the night, you start to do sit down ones because you're so tired at 4 a.m. and groggy. You're like it's going all over the window. So it's like, huh? No, I would never sit down to have a piss during the day. Sorry.
During the day?
No. I'm sorry. I don't know another way of saying it.
You're like a nocturnal sitter.
Yeah, because
I'm not a fan of sitting on toilet seats.
Yeah, I mean, if I can not be in the toilet, I won't be.
I mean, I wouldn't. To be clear, I'm only doing this at home. I'm not going and sitting in random toilets I don't know.
Imagine though, if you were.
Yeah, no. If I'm in a random toilet, I'm in and out of there as soon as possible.
Imagine.
You know those people that go in there. Those people that go in there and they bring like a newspaper in or something.
Into the where? Sorry. What?
Into the toilet, like a newspaper. No.
Your own toilet.
Just me. Well, like people do it, like they go into the toilet and they take a newspaper in with them, so they're going to be in there for a minute or two, or at least 20, and they fucking hear the rustling of the fucking newspaper or something. No, I don't know.
Broadsheeting it, aren't they?
I've just put in a comment that I'm not reading out. Let's move on. Lyle asks, "What's your favourite Krispy Kreme donut?" I don't know the names of any of them.
I swear, these questions are just meant to make me look like an absolute knob. I think I've probably had like one Krispy Kreme donut in my life. Thankfully, I can now say I've had one, because I think for a long time it was like I've never had a Krispy Kreme, and then someone bought them in at work or something, so I've had one. But I could not tell you any of the flavours. I'm sure they're all lovely. Tell you
is it's a whole donut, so it's not got a hole in it. It's a full
donut.
Chocolate on the top, and like a white sort of creaminess inside.
That's nice.
That one.
A peanut butter flavoured one, I'm sure, with chocolate on would be nice. That'd be great. I'm sure they do that.
Yeah. I mean, Lyle wants us to say the Xbox one, so we all get sent free Xboxes. But
the Xbox one then.
I don't know whether to ask Stephen's question or not.
Wait.
So I'm going to leave it to the end.
Because of who is on the podcast?
No, because of how long that could go as well. So we'll
okay.
Dane says, and again, I'm going to have to set some rules here. You just have to go bang. It's that one. Pick a Switch game I should play. Pick a Switch game he should play. Bang. Come on, someone, bang. This isn't banging, lads. Come on.
It's not banging, but
I don't know what he hasn't played.
Doesn't matter. He didn't tell us.
Fire Emblem Three Houses. He's definitely played
Play Astral Chain again, Dane.
Yeah. Do you know? Go on ahead and
Legend of
bang,
Zelda,
bang.
Breath of the Wild.
Yes, because there is no better game on Switch.
Link's Awakening.
Or how about Super Mario Odyssey, like you'd been doing, Adam?
Yeah,
go and play that again.
That makes you feel better. I'm assuming he's feeling down, but he might not be. But it doesn't really matter. It makes you feel better.
I think he's going on holiday and wants a game to play. I think that's more than what the question is.
The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Apparently, the DLC that you never got round to. Politica says, stealing this from another pod, and definitely better now that Lyle isn't on this week. What are your Marmite games? For example, games that you love that other people hate, or vice versa. Breath of the Wild, apparently.
Yeah, apparently there's some weirdos out there who don't like Breath of the Wild. I didn't really get on with Gris or however you pronounce it.
No,
but I know that a lot of people did, but I didn't think that was a game very much, or didn't respect me as a gamer when I was playing it.
Are we picking those games? Are we picking a game we like that other people do?
It's
not
both. It says or vice versa,
okay.
so you can choose either. I'm struggling to pick a game that I like that other people don't.
I can do that one, and I can just say Metal Gear Solid 3.
You don't like it?
Don't like it.
At all?
I don't like it at all. I'm not getting into it. Not here. Not now.
No, I want to get into it.
Nope.
No?
I know that everyone loves that game that I've ever met.
I don't know it.
Do you? I thought you loved those games.
I love Metal Gear Solid.
Yes,
but I struggled with 3 for...
I even like 2.
I struggled with 3 for a bit.
No,
but I grew to acknowledge it.
No, I'm not getting into it.
What about Death Stranding?
What about Death Stranding?
I just thought you guys could argue about that for a minute.
I liked Death Stranding. It was just the story I didn't like.
Did you watch that 4.5-minute trailer that came out?
Yeah, you couldn't half tell he cut it himself. And that's all I'll say about that.
Good.
As someone who does literally edit videos for a living, I'll just say you could definitely tell he cut it himself.
Good tune on it.
Sure.
Good Kid, I think is the name.
Absolutely.
You're such a foreskin.
Better than being a 3-skin. Whatever that is. Let's do this question because it's not fair because Matt King's question won't get asked if we don't ask this one. G-Town Steve, Mr. Steven himself says, for some reason he wants it read like this. Death row meal, starter, main, dessert. What's the choice? So do we all go for it or do we want to do everyone's starter first? I hadn't even read that it was starter and main. I had a main, but I didn't even have a starter. Can I have a main for my starter? I mean, I'm going to die.
Just like 3 mains.
Well, no, but look, essentially this is like, what is your favourite? It's your last meal, isn't it? So can I just have 3, like the 3 courses, but 3 things I want?
Yeah.
Or has it got to be like a prawn cocktail? You know?
Oh my God. Fucking
I mean, I hope you're not going to say prawn cocktail, but
I don't mind a prawn cocktail.
Jesus.
Oh,
they look rank.
Oh, lads,
they look rotten.
Classic.
I don't mind it, but I'd be. I mean, I'm worried what Adam Coward's
disgusted if I did. Yeah,
I would. I'm worried where this is going to go. This conversation with.
But what are we doing? Are we all doing our own ones, or are we going one each? How are we doing this? Are we going to all go starter and then all go main, all go desert?
Let's do starter. It's all mention of starter first.
Well, so can I have whatever I want as a starter?
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
We'll assume it's a smaller portion of whatever you want.
Oh, no, that's not... No.
Okay.
I'm going to die. Can I not have as much gluttony as I want?
Yeah, okay, fine. You can.
Okay,
there are no
rules. Let's start Adam and go Chris, then me. Okay. So, Adam, what's your starter?
Probably a half-pounder burger. With like just everything I can think of, including like
this is battered
onion rings. Yeah, I'm dying.
I'm with you.
I'm not going to be able to eat the main, but okay.
But I'm picking like the ultimate foods in my life that I'm just like, oh my God. So a burger, like with everything, all the trimmings, the onions, the sauces, the cheese, everything is happening. It's all just fantastic.
A mega burger.
Straight up, big ass burger.
Okay.
That's my starter.
Absolutely. Okay. Christopher.
So I was thinking of starters until you guys started mains into starters.
I will say I have picked what I would consider potentially a starter dish now. I was going to go for pizza, right? Because I thought, fuck it. But I'm not. I'm going to go for a starter. So if you want to do starter, I'd do a starter.
I was going to say, like a really
Caesar
nice...
salad.
No, like, I don't know, like a really nice pate or something. I like pate.
Come on, man. You're dying.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think. I'm easing myself.
It's not your last meal.
It's
his last meal.
Flipping Pringles.
Yeah.
Yeah, just with some nice crusty bread, loads of pate, nice chutney with it.
Do you know, Chris, you and I are not far off here.
Okay.
I would go for. I mean, if I think now you've said it, I would extend it to that kind of a cheese board.
Yeah.
But a start one, and I want some nice artisanal breads there, a bit of sourdough. I want some olive oil to dip in, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and I would actually like a little bit of hummus. So we're almost talking, if it's a bit of hummus. I would like some chili jam, if possible, and some onion chutney.
Chili jam is good.
And I'd like that all there with me, with fresh bread. Let's go for a nice strong cheddar with a real tang to it. A bit of brie, maybe even baked camembert. Because listen, I'm dying, so I'm going to dip the bread in there as well. But that's what we're going for. Maybe a bit of chicken liver pate. Yeah, we're going for a cheese board. That's my starter. With a nice, crisp glass of water.
I haven't thought about the drinking accompaniments, but okay.
Okay. Main meal, Adam Carroll.
No, I think we changed it up now. Someone picked their main meal. Adam Cook, I think you pick your main meal first.
Okay, fine. Oh, that seems fair. Having just given that massive description. Spaghetti carbonara. Spaghetti carbonara.
Oh, you always mention carbonara. You're a big fan of the
love carbonara, and I've had it in restaurants. My wife does it better. So unfortunately, bless her, she's about to lose her husband, but she's going to have to come in and cook the carbonara, which is really unfair. But it's my last meal. And,
it's your last request. You know.
No, the last request is never mind. Later, she's there for another reason. What do you mean that's the dessert? No, well maybe, but no, a carbonara made properly. I've had a lot of bread already, but I probably would have a bit of garlic ciabatta on the side because you got to. Exactly.
It's just
we go in bacon in there, lardons, but we're gonna put not a lot. Just a few little bits of chorizo in there as well. Just a few. We don't want it to overpower everything else. Just enough to taste. A few little dots of chorizo in there. We're gonna heavily layer the Parmigiano on the top when we're grating that. And it's gonna be
Gordon Ramsay, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my main. So who's next?
I don't mind going next. I'm gonna have a whack off steak.
One way.
That's fuck it, fillet. Fillet steak. I'm gonna have like the works with like onion rings.
Are you going chips?
I'm gonna go chunky chips, steak cut
triple
chips.
Cooked? Triple cooked?
Yeah, triple cooked steak cut chips.
It's a hard one to say.
I'm having like a mushroom with like Stilton crumbled on it and melted.
Like a real big.
Yeah, like a flat cap.
Yep,
big one of those.
Stilton on it.
Yeah, I had it the
or Stilton, not just
Stilton. What's that? Sorry, what's the question?
So Stilton, does that? Well, does that melt then? Does it like? I'm not a Stilton.
Yeah.
fan.
I had it a little while ago at this posh restaurant, and it was really nice. So that's definitely what I'm having again.
Posh
restaurant. I don't know what else to say.
You could have just said restaurant.
Oh, sorry. Well, okay, yeah, the posh is in third.
That's what
I had it. Yeah, I had it at this burger joint. And then what else? Oh, and like a really nice like creamy peppercorn sauce over the top.
Lots or not lots? How much sauce are we talking here? Are we talking leave the little boat for you to just add a bit?
Give
more?
me it in a boat, and I will decant it as I see fit. But give me
fine.
lots just in case, because then I can pour and I can dip if I want.
Yeah, no, good shout. Are you chip? Are you a man where this is all being served on a plate? Or are you one of these? One of these? Are you?
No, I don't want my chips in a sieve.
No, but sometimes you get like little chips in a little pot next to it, and then you can pour them on, or you can just take them out. I just like it on my plate.
I pour it onto the plate.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no, solid. Adam Carroll, mains.
My main is
burger.
I was wondering if he's going to say another burger.
2 burgers.
Yeah, another burger. 2 of them this time.
No, my main is definitely, it has to be probably my favorite meal of all time. Sandwich. No, it's actually, that'd be desperate.
Nah.
That'd be desperate if it was. No, it's it's a fry up for dinner.
Oh, that's a good shout.
What's in your fry up?
That's a good shout.
No, like look, back in the day it was different. I'm talking back in the day now because I'm dead.
You're vegetarian now, aren't you? Yeah.
I've done my bit. I've done my part for the all.
Would you have a vegetarian
polar bears?
What for your last meal? There's no way. He is eating so much sausage and bacon.
No, I'm going all out. I'm
gonna die.
So that's what I mean. Like the beef is happening. Like, but like if I was going breakfast, I'd be like pudding. I need at least 6 sticks of black and white pudding. On my plate, I want at least 8 sausages.
Just to be clear, you said 6 sticks, then,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, pudding is life. Okay. Pudding is life.
What's a stick of pudding now? Isn't it normally like a slice?
That, you just cut it up.
Oh, you mean slices? Okay, fine. Carry on.
Yeah, but like a full stick.
He's not eating in a posh restaurant. He's in prison.
Yeah.
so sorry, you want 6 of those? That's your whole plate.
6 of those sticks. I cut it down to half, and I just fry it off each side, and I go, cool, 3 white, 3 black, put it all on. Yeah, just loads of pudding. Loads of puddings going on.
Carry on. How many sausages again?
I'd probably go about maybe a full packet of sausages, maybe.
Can I make a suggestion for you? See if I'm thinking about this now, and I'm thinking that's a really good. I'm not going to change mine, but I feel like with a fry, all right. Yeah. I feel like there should be a chef with he's got the outdoor cutlery stuff, and it's almost like when you go for an all-you-can-eat breakfast. And it's like you just keep them coming until I say I've had enough because I'm going to die. Yeah. So I'm not even sure. A packet, sure, but what about if they were just until you were done?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Have that bacon, mushrooms, eggs, toast.
What kind of mushrooms, Dad? What kind of mushrooms?
I'm very peculiar with mushrooms. They just have to be good.
Sorry, what? I'm very peculiar with mushrooms. They just have to be good. What does that mean?
They're shit mushrooms.
Chris, you would learn if you did the food podcast that when he makes comments like that, you just have to let those ones go. Okay.
There's bad mushrooms. You know when you get a Chinese takeout and you get those button mushrooms in it, and they're fucking lava,
and
they're rubber.
They can piss off. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. You can get some of them thrown on your plate for a fry, and I'm like, you dickhead, take that back. But
I'd be annoyed. I don't know, especially if they started floating around in the beans. No, they need to be good mushrooms. I'm agreed.
Yeah, good mushrooms. But just all that lashings of bread. I love dipping bread in. Oh, beans. Now, here's the thing that might turn the tail, okay? I do eat baked beans cold and straight from a tin.
I'm sure you've said that before.
And I love it. I survived off a festival on it. It was great.
We've all done it.
But would you have, hang on though, would you have a whole can of beans?
Well, he doesn't have to eat them all, does he?
No, but I know this is something that you're passionate about.
I wasn't casting aspersions.
I'd eat a whole can of beans anyway.
Okay.
Well, I know Mr. Adam Cook can't reconcile the fact that one person eats a whole can of beans in one sitting. So.
They're so good, man.
If it's a small tin of beans. Although I may have a confession. This is not the time, and I'm really hungry, so I don't know that we should. But I may have eaten a full tin of beans recently.
So what's the problem here? Why are you?
I was really hungry, and I made
something in Jeremy Kyle or something.
It was two bits of toast, right? Here's a little tip for you, by the way. First of all, do you like Marmite?
You put Marmite in the beans?
No. So rather than using just butter, so beans on toast, instead of just buttering it, Marmite the toast. Okay, and then just carry on as you would normal, and it's just I'm telling you now, you won't. It's not something.
Bit of a twang.
Yeah,
I'd rather put diesel on my bread.
That's fine, but no, I had basically a third bit of toast because I was still hungry, and I finished off the tin of beans on it. So,
Can I, before we move on, can I just ask a question here? You know what I don't understand are soldiers. I don't get it. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't get when someone literally froths at the mouth of the idea of dipping little pieces of bread into the yolk.
I mean, I'm out on this conversation, so you're going to have to take this one, Adam.
I have no real rebuffery here. I just think I like it. What do you mean?
I just don't really.
It is Look, I love eggs and I love bread. It's the worst possible way of eating them both because you've got to fight with the shell. You've got to make sure that the egg is cooked exactly the right amount of time. Otherwise, you've wasted the whole thing. But if someone offers me it, I'm not saying no. Okay, because it's eggs and it's toast.
Yeah, I'd eat it.
Yeah, I will agree with you. It is odd. I would rather, and this is the same thing, 2 bits of toast on a plate, fried egg on each bit, done. It's the same thing. You just then cutting it up with a knife and fork rather than dipping it in. Same thing.
Scrambled's better.
Which one?
Scrambled.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, egg on bread is better than egg on toast. That is an important distinction. We need to do desserts. I think it's Chris's turn to do dessert because we've all gone first apart from
him. I think a nice. I do like a cheesecake.
Oh, you bastard!
Oh,
no, I can have it too. I'm dying. It's fine.
Yeah, Chris can. No, sorry, Chris has had that. You can't have that. Yeah, just a nice cheesecake, a nice wedge. Of cheesecake,
thicken.
Yeah.
I forget about your wedge. Get the whole thing, man.
You're
entitled to that whole cheesecake.
Yeah, a cheesecake. A whole cheesecake.
What's your flavour? What's your flavour?
I wish I was in your cell.
My wife makes one that we call a Twix cheesecake, and it's essentially salted caramel. It does have Twixes cut up and popped into it on the top. Or there's also like a vanilla white chocolate blackberry one, which is outrageous. But you know what? A key lime one or a lemon one. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd have a lemon or a lime one or a vanilla or
vanilla one can be sometimes the best of the lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to say lemon cheesecake for me.
Lemon, I think is I would absolutely be absolutely fine with it.
Jesus Christ, slap it off my face. It's so good.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, there you go. There's we've all picked cheesecake. So that's fine. This is going to be a very short answer. Matt's waited right to the end for this question to be asked. And I feel like he's going to be enormously disappointed with the answer. To go along with Steve's question, he says, have any of you ever been in prison? Have you ever been incarcerated? No.
No. Adam Carroll?
He hasn't.
No. Until next time.
And next time will be in a week's time from when you're watching this, probably, or listening to this. And it really just begs to say that we've almost done a third of this podcast on one question about food, which says a lot about what time we're recording it, I think. I'm very hungry. I don't know about you two.
Starving.
Thank you very much for those in the live chat to have joined in, and thank you to those watching or listening after the fact. If you want to get in on the action early, then go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, where you'll get bonus episodes, bonus videos. I've just shown something that all I'll say it's called a Sean boxing. We've shown that early. We'll see if people like that and maybe do more of those. We do code giveaways on there with a private Discord. We are actually slowly improving. I hope people think we're improving the Patreon bonuses. And we have merchandise as well, which you can find by going to godisageek.com, and there's our merchandise link on that main page. So go and have a look at that to get the hats and t-shirts and all that sort of stuff. Adam and Chris, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. It's been a cracker. And everybody else, we'll speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye for now.